Hey everybody, welcome back to Drawing for Comics. I hope you've all been practicing those basic eye shapes and those basic mouth shapes. This week we're going to focus on the nose, so let's get right into it. You'll see here that I've already sketched out 4 basic faces, without the nose of course. This is basically just for time so that we can get right into going over how the nose is constructed. I use the faces here because even though we could be drawing noses by themselves on the paper like we do with the eyes and the mouth, I like to teach it in conjunction with the rest of the face. So let's move in on this first male figure and get started. Okay, so here we have our basic male face. Let's go over a little bit about the construction of the nose. So basically between our 2 eyes here, we have a ridge that runs kind of down the center of the face. Kind of like this, down here. And it tapers off to this side and this side. And right around in here is actually where the bone part of our nose stops. You've probably seen pictures of skulls, and they have that kind of weird looking nose in the middle of them. That's what that is. That's the bone part of our nose. And right here at the bridge of the nose is where actually cartilage connects. So you have the basic structure of the nose here, and then at the bridge you have the cartilage that comes down as the septum, which breaks the nose down into the 2 nostrils, and then you have the flesh and cartilage that makes kind of the sides of the nose. And you can kind of see here, it maybe looks a little bit like the way you see artists draw Batman's cowl, the nose in his cowl. It's that basic triangle shape. And then at the bottom, to cover the nostrils, we have those pieces of flesh that kind of just stick over the top, just like that. Okay, now obviously we're not going to draw all that. It looks a little silly. In fact, with the nose, usually less is more. So actually we're just going to indicate the pieces of the nose being on the face, because as I mentioned on the mouth video, really when we see things, all we really see is the shading. We see the difference in value from light to dark and differences in color. We don't actually see lines because they don't actually exist in nature. So let's get rid of all this, and we'll get right on to our nose. Okay, so now we're in close here on the eyes of the male figure. And remember, as we discussed in the eye video, we have this kind of indentation here around the eye socket, where the eye socket and the nose kind of meet. So the first thing we're going to do is come in here and do kind of a tapered line right in here. And if you're using a pencil or something at home, you could just draw the outline of that shape. Now let's say the lighting is coming from this direction. Okay, so it's kind of above and from the side. That means this whole side of the nose here will be in the light. It won't be in shadow, so we're actually not going to see very much of it. So instead what we're going to do is come over here by the other eye, and we're going to put in a deeper shadow line over here. Basically the same as what we did here, just a little bit more to it. So I'm going to come in here, and I'm just going to thicken it up a bit, and I'm going to bring it further down the face, okay? And maybe come in here and even put a little bit more shadowing in there, changing the way that line comes together, just like that. Now even though this side of the nose is in shadow and we're going to see more of it, I'm not going to draw too much more than that. Maybe when the colorist comes in, they can add some coloring and some shading and skin tone shading to kind of show the ridge of the nose. But this is all we're going to do for line art, because as I said, less is more, and the more we draw of the nose, the funkier our picture is going to look. So now let's slide down the image here so we can see the mouth, and right about where the ears stop, which would be right around in this general direction, this general area right here, is where we're going to put the bottom of the nose. Now don't worry too much about this yet. Next week's video we'll worry about how we place all of the basic components on the face, and we'll worry about proportions and placement then. But for right now, just right around here, I'm going to find the center of the nose. And again, our light is coming from this general direction. I'm going to find the center of our nose, and we're just going to put a little bit of an indication of the bottom of the nose right here. Now I want to decide exactly how much shadowing to put where, what shapes to put in here, and that kind of thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the edge of the eye here, and right about where the tear duct is, I'm going to come down the face, and I'm going to put in a little indication of the nostril, just like that. Okay, and you can make the nose really as wide or narrow, whatever as you want. It's your figure, it's your character, you can design it how you will. But a good rule of thumb is right about in that area. So then I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to draw the shadowy part of the nostril, maybe some of the nostril itself. Okay, and then I'm going to connect all of these shadow lines. Now I can choose to leave this open right here if I want, if that's the kind of effect I want, and have it be a little bit of reflected light hitting the bottom of the nose here. Maybe I'd want to kind of taper it back off again or something like that. Or instead of doing that, I can just come down and fill it all in. And really, that's up to you. It's how you want your nose to look, that kind of thing. So, and then I'm going to come over here to the other side. Again, right on the tear duct, I'm going to come more or less straight down. And I'm going to make another one of these marks. It's just going to be a little bit more subtle. Because again, this side is more in the light. So that's not a very good example. So we're just going to come in here and do something kind of like that. Or maybe even I would just draw just the bottom of it even. You know, and that's up to you again. That's your own tastes. And then again, judging where the light is, we're going to come in here and let people know that there is another nostril right there. And just kind of hint at it like that. And then down in the middle here, we'll come down and we will put in a little drop shadow because you had that little indentation between your nose and your mouth. And that just kind of shows that. Okay, and then we're going to step back a little bit and see how much we like that. Okay, if I wanted to, I could come back in here maybe and take my white, or you could take your eraser and just come in here and kind of fix it and get what you want. That's a little bit better. A little bit more what I kind of had in mind. Now, another thing you can do is with the point of the nose, the tip of the nose, maybe you want to define that a little bit more. And again, with the light coming in from this way, maybe we come in and we just put a little indication of the where the tip of the nose and the nostril flap kind of come together there. You can do something like that if you want. Make it straighter. You know, you can fool around with this 1,000 different ways, and there you have your basic front-on nose for a man. So next we'll move on to the female and go over the differences between the male nose and the female nose. Okay, so here we are at the female face, and again we're going to do a similar thing as what we did with the male face, and we're just going to indicate the nose. So let's again say the light is coming from this general direction. Okay, and we're going to put in the aspects of the female nose. Now we're going to do most of what we did with the male nose, only a lot of it is going to be much more subtle because with the female characters, just like with the eyes and the lips and the curvature of the body, we want things to be a bit more delicate, a bit more elegant, a bit more graceful, that kind of thing. We want to really bring out the feminine qualities in the figure. So I'm going to come in here, and once again I'm going to put in that little indentation between the eye and the nose, and then I'm going to come over here to the shadow side, and I'm not going to do anything that's much different than that. I'm going to find it right about the right spot, and I'm going to put in the other one. Make this one a little bit bigger. I might increase the shading, just kind of like that, and make it a little bit thicker. But I'm not going to make it much bigger than that because, again, we really want to keep it subtle. Less is more with the nose, and less is more usually with the female figure in general. Okay, so that's what we're going to go with there. And then again, we're going to come down right about in this area. Okay, try to find the center as best we can, and just put in the bottom of her nose. Now, in some instances, you may want to leave it like that. You may decide you want more to it, less to it. You know, it's all about the lighting of your piece and the way you want your character to look. I'm going to put in a little bit more detail than that, as I usually do. So let's move in just a little bit on it, and we will put in some more detail on that nose. Okay, so again, the light's coming from this way. This side is more in shadow, so we want to hint at her nostril. But again, being a female character, we want to keep it very simple, very curvy. You want to avoid any large angular shapes. You want to keep it very light, very delicate, very curvy. Okay, and again, come over right around this area, put in the line for the nostril flap there, or the flare, or whatever. I don't know if there is a certain name for that actually, but whatever you want to call it, that's where it goes. Put it in there, call it what you will, and come back here to the other side, and again right on the same place you want to put another one in, but again much more delicate, and just hint maybe at the nostril over here. Now, just as with the guy, and we put in the shape here on the side of the nose to kind of indicate the tip of the nose, there's a couple things I like to do with my female figures. Sometimes I will do that same kind of side shape, but I'll bring it across a little bit more and put it there, and it gives her kind of like that little button nose, I guess, kind of shape to it. Tends to make the characters look a little younger, a little cuter sometimes, that kind of thing. Another thing you'll see artists do every once in a while, and again this depends on the look of your character and the light source and things like that, is they'll put in a line that goes all the way across the top of the nose. And it creates basically the same effect, just kind of emphasizes the tip of the nose, that gives it the shape you want, that kind of thing. So feel free to play around with that, figure out how you want to do it. Sometimes I see kind of 2 lines to do it. Sometimes I see artists, they'll come in and they'll kind of make like a zigzag line like that, or something like that, where it's 2 lines but kind of connected. And just as with the lips and the eyes, there's a zillion different ways you can do it. Now the indent between the nose and the mouth, you can put that in if you'd like. Sometimes it looks good to have it in there, sometimes it looks better to leave it out. So again, depends on the lighting of your piece, the way you want your characters to look. That's going to determine whether or not you put in that. Okay, so here we have 2 profiles without their noses included, one on the male form, of course, and one on the female form. So let's take a closer look at these and see how we put these in. Alright, so starting with the guy, we're going to come in and right around where the brow comes into sort of the eye socket area, that's where we're going to start the nose. Now you can do, again, 1,000 different things for this. You can make the nose kind of whatever shape you want, but I always start by bringing it out this way a little bit. Now what I can do, if I really want to, is I can make kind of almost like a hook shape here, and that gives you a nose with a certain, maybe a brawler look, maybe a boxer look, that kind of thing. And we're going to tilt it around the end, and you see I made a little indentation here, and you kind of see how he has like that kind of thug look, kind of boxer look. Right down here, we're going to put an indication of the nostril, just basically a line because we're seeing it from the side, so all we're really seeing is the change in color of that part of the nose and the shadow that nostril flap kind of leaves. And there's going to be a crease here where the nostrils meet the face, just like we did with the front view. And we'll come up here maybe and put in that little dimple you tend to see for the indentation between the eye and the nose. Okay, so that's one way to do it. Let's come back here. Let's take it back to the beginning again. Let's try a different shape. Maybe we don't want to look quite so brutish. Maybe we want to look a little bit more sophisticated or a little bit more handsome, perhaps, depending on what your tastes are. And so we'll do a little bit kind of plainer nose, a little bit more simple, a little basic curve here, a little bit smoother. Again, we'll put in the nostril here and the line between the nostril and the flap. And there's a different look for you. And you see you really change up the look of the whole character just by changing the design of the nose. And there's 9 million ways you could do it. Play around with it, experiment with different shapes, see what different curves and different hooks do to it, and how that changes your figure. Okay, so let's go over to the female and we'll kind of wrap this up. Alright, so here we are at the female face. Again, we've left the nose part empty. So let's go in and give her a nose. With the female, again, we're going to make it, we're going to focus on it being curvy, being soft, being delicate. So we're not going to have it extend quite as far from the face. We're not going to put any weird hooks in it or anything. We're just going to put in the nice sloping curve, and really we almost curve it the opposite way. We almost kind of curve it like this all the way down. And that's obviously an exaggeration, but you get kind of that concave kind of look to it almost. So let's come in with a nice curve, just like that. And then again at the tip we can take it and kind of roll it back this way. And there you go. There's a nice soft feminine nose. You can put a little line in here for the nostril, and one where the nostril meets the face. And again, in here at the tip we could put in a little line to kind of really accentuate that if we wanted to. Okay, let's try something a little bit different. Let's bring it maybe not quite as down as far. Okay, and let's come in and put in curve at the bottom. And then maybe to really make the tip stand out, maybe we come in here and actually put a second curve line in there with a little thing just like that. And there you go. Then their nose, she looks a little piggish maybe. But again, just another way of doing that. And actually this part is a little too big, so let's do this. That's a little bit more accurate. Okay, so all kinds of shapes. Maybe we don't like that shape too much. We can come in here, take it out, make it a little bit more of a round kind of thing, just like that. And you can do 1,000 things with it. Again, experiment with it, play around, see what you like. It's your character, it's your world, you can do what you will. There's our comparison again of the male and female. Bring it out to all 4. So again, fill these up, play with them, get some stock faces online. Perhaps you can find some drawing mannequin samples that will have blank faces for you, or even take your picture, your paper, and just draw the nose all by itself out in the middle of nowhere. That's always an idea as well. Next week we'll cover the building the face, putting all these elements together, kind of like what you've seen here. We'll talk about proportions. We'll talk about putting the ears in there and different ways to draw the ears, and we'll be all set with the face, and from there we'll move on to other figure construction. But I really wanted to start everybody with a face because that seems to be what a lot of people have apprehension with when they first start drawing. So we'll keep practicing that as we go over other things. Again, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And if there's something you want to see covered in a future video, leave me a message down in the comments and we'll make sure we put that in rotation, okay? Thank you again, everybody, and we'll see you next time.